Get ready, because the bomb has exploded. A champion was destroyed on social media by an undefeated fighter who accepts no excuses. A fighter compared two legendary Russians and revealed who is stronger. Dana White just confirmed who will fight for the belt, and a former champion gave the brutal verdict on a fight that could end a career. Hold on to this adrenaline. Tension exploded on social media, and the atmosphere heated up for good in the division. Like several other names in the sport, Della Maddalena made it clear that his next challenger, should he overcome Makachev at the legendary Madison Square Garden, will probably come from one of the other battles scheduled for UFC 322. But it was when asked about Rakhmonov that the real controversy began. In an explosive conversation with MMA Fighting, the welterweight title holder didn't mince words and fired off that the Kazakh competitor has been inactive for too long and simply fell behind. "I think the division has moved on. If you stay inactive, you kind of fall behind. I think that's where it is," declared Della Maddalena without beating around the bush. And he didn't stop there. The champion continued hammering, "Someone like Sean Brady has been extremely active. He and Gary too. These guys are very active. How can Shavkat stay in that top position when these guys are fighting everyone?" The provocation was direct, without detours, and clearly calculated to poke the sleeping beast. But what Della Maddalena didn't expect was the speed and force of the response. It took absolutely nothing for Rakhmonov to become aware of these statements during UFC 322 Fight Week, and the counterattack came with everything. The Nomad responded through a devastating post on X, reminding the champion of a crucial detail he apparently tried to sweep under the rug. "The only reason you got that title shot was my injury," wrote Rakhmonov on X, with the precision of a surgical strike. And he didn't stop there, throwing an inconvenient truth in the Australian's face. "Funny how you forgot you were inactive for almost 14 months before that." The cutting irony of the response made it clear that Rakhmonov wasn't playing around and wouldn't accept being disrespected. The explosive reaction of the undefeated Kazakh star doesn't surprise absolutely anyone who followed the plans he outlined earlier this year. Amid uncertainty about his physical situation and recovery timeline, Rakhmonov provided a UFC return update during an interview with Ulis Mediax, and his words were crystal clear. The third-ranked contender expressed his burning desire to challenge the champion in 2026, making it absolutely clear that any other fights simply don't spark his interest. "The situation is difficult. I'm waiting to see who will fight for the title. Perhaps we'll go straight to the title fight, even next year. I'm waiting. I don't want to waste my energy on intermediate fights." The statement shows a fighter focused exclusively on the ultimate prize. Shavkat Rakhmonov will certainly have his eyes glued to what will unfold at this Saturday's UFC 322 pay-per-view in New York, where multiple decisive fights in his division will happen simultaneously. The Australian's first title defense comes 6 months after he dethroned Bilal Muhammad in Montreal, and the winner could have their next opponent decided the same night. Alongside his work with Khabib Nurmagomedov's team in Russia, Makachev shared the mats with immortal legends like Daniel Cormier, Cain Velasquez, and Luke Rockhold at Javier Mendez's American Kickboxing Academy in San Jose, California. It was in this crucible of champions that his greatness began to be forged. Before Makachev's main event win over Bobby Green in early 2022, Cormier reflected on the first time the then-future lightweight king entered that gym during a revealing interview for UFC.com, and his words paint a fascinating picture. "You know, when Makachev came to AKA, he was the first one to come after Khabib started showing up there," Cormier recalled with evident nostalgia. "So you knew he was special, but you knew the story. He was the one who had the closest relationship with Khabib, due to the fact that they'd been together the longest. He was Khabib's dad's student from the start." The deep and historic connection between the two Russian warriors became evident in the champion's words. and Cormier continued revealing exclusive details. "I feel like he was the one they wanted people to know, right after Khabib made his impact. He walked into the gym without speaking a single word of English, but you could see in his work that the kid had a ton of talent, was a sponge willing to learn, and that ultimately he would find his way to a ton of success inside the UFC." The first impression was devastating. He's just a special type of person, not only as an athlete, but as a man. Because he wants to not only succeed, he wants to see people reach his level also, DC added, with genuine admiration. Makachev will enter the octagon for his shot at two-division supremacy this Saturday as the absolute favorite. But DC believes the fight should be seen as more even than expected, especially after the dominant performance the Australian champion delivered last time. Cormier analyzed Della Maddalena versus Makachev in August and explained why he sees the matchup as incredibly close, despite some initially quite favorable betting lines for the Dagestani. "They know the challenge ahead. Those guys are very aware of how good Jack Della Maddalena is," declared Cormier on his YouTube channel, showing respect for the Australian. "He's so tough, he's so big, he's so physical, and now he's got takedown defense to match all of that." And the cherry on top? After watching him fight Belal Muhammad, after watching how wonderfully he put together a game plan, it's a much more even fight than you would have thought prior, DC added. The main card also features decisive battles that could change the entire division landscape. The second-ranked contender Sean Brady faces the undefeated Michael Morales with an impressive 18 wins and 0 losses, while former champion Leon Edwards measures strength with the dangerous Carlos Prates in a war that promises fire. And there's more. Belal Muhammad faces Ian Machado Gary in another top contender fight the following week at UFC Qatar. The division is boiling. Ahead of Fight Night, UFC boss Dana White confirmed who will get the winner of Della Maddalena versus Makachev, and the answer is definitive. The UFC 322 press conference took place on Thursday in New York, and the atmosphere was electric. Ecuador's Michael Morales received an unbelievable reception from the crowd at the iconic Madison Square Garden, proving that the hype around him is real. While on stage, White was asked if Brady versus Morales would determine who gets the next title shot at welterweight, and the answer came quick and certain. "Sure," White approved, confirming Brady versus Morales as a title eliminator. The official confirmation everyone was waiting for. Brady boasts an impressive record of 8 wins and only 1 loss in the UFC, having lost only to Belal Muhammad, which shows his absurd consistency. The American became the first fighter to submit Leon Edwards, achieving this historic feat back at UFC London in March, an accomplishment few imagined possible. Morales, in turn, looks to improve to a spectacular 7 wins and 0 losses in the octagon after knocking out former title challenger Gilbert Burns in May, a knockout that left everyone jaw-dropped. Among the top welterweight division contenders is also former champion and former pound-for-pound king Kamaru Usman, a name that still carries gigantic weight. Coming off a 3-fight losing streak to Leon Edwards and Khamzat Chimaev, which shook his reputation, Usman returned to the win column in June with a dominant decision win over Joaquin Buckley, showing he still has much to offer. Usman is out for the rest of the year, hopeful that he can fight the winner of Della Maddalena versus Makachev in his triumphant return to the top. But here's the problem. The Nigerian Nightmare may have to fight again if he really wants to fight for the title, because the line is huge and full of hungry assassins. Edwards has only lost twice in his last 15 fights, a record that demonstrates absolute elite consistency. Usman states this matchup should be a sigh of relief for Edwards, considering Prates is a striker like him, not a grappler who will try to suffocate him on the ground. However, that doesn't mean Usman is picking Edwards to upset the knockout artist. For Leon Edwards, Leon has struggled with pressure grapplers, Usman said on the Pound for Pound podcast, analyzing with the experience of someone who faced Edwards 3 times. With guys that are going to come forward, guys that are going to change levels, take you down, hold you down, and beat you up, I've shown that. Muhammad showed that, and Sean Brady has just shown that. The analysis is brutal and precise. It's got to be a slight relief for Leon, understanding that I'm not going up against a guy who wants to take me down, who wants to hold me down and beat me up, Usman explained about Edwards' perspective. But then came the however that changes everything. But the difference is, you got a different type of striker, Usman said about Prates, and his words paint a dangerous scenario. You got a striker that loves to throw knees, loves to throw elbows, a striker that's ultra-confident, a new type of striker, a kid that has no fear of absolutely nothing. The description is scary. I think this fight favors a guy like Carlos Prates because not only has he shaken off that loss to Ian Machado Gary, which was a valuable learning lesson. Since then, he's bounced back against Jeff Neal with that tremendous knockout. And now he's going up against another southpaw who's not primarily known for his power, not primarily known for his aggression. Usman continued his devastating analysis. He's more of a slick guy, Usman said about Edwards, after fighting him 3 times and knowing every detail of his game. I think this is a favorable matchup for Carlos Prates. The prediction is clear. Edwards was on the verge of defeat before he knocked out Usman with a head kick to win the welterweight title in 2022, one of the most shocking moments in MMA history. The last time Edwards fought a striker, he dominated Nate Diaz for 4 rounds in a clinical performance. We can't count Leon out, because Leon has been able to change levels, Usman said about his 3-fight rival, giving credit where it's due. Not the prettiest shot, but he can change levels, Usman added with honesty. He can get you down. A non-wrestler, he can get you down. Leon's grappling has improved significantly. We saw him back in the day. He was fighting the Russian Albert Tumanov that was cleaning dudes up. Leon was able to go in there, take him down, take his back, and put him away, Usman recalled. Speaking to Ariel Helwani, after his 3rd failed attempt at becoming undisputed lightweight champion at UFC 302, Poirier reflected on his experience fighting both Nurmagomedov and his protege, offering a unique perspective that few can give. Although the Eagle never ventured up in weight like Makachev is doing in New York this Saturday, the Diamond branded Nurmagomedov as the stronger of the 2 Russian standouts, and this statement caused shockwaves. Takedowns are different. Pressure is similar, Poirier said about the styles of Nurmagomedov and Makachev, drawing interesting parallels. Takedowns are different. Makachev does a lot of upper body stuff. He kept trying to clinch up with me all the time. Khabib would shoot lower shots, attacking the legs. The technical analysis is fascinating. I think Khabib is stronger, physically stronger, Poirier continued, making his opinion clear. Islam's squeeze was incredible. All these guys are strong, but it wasn't overwhelming. But his squeeze, it was like a vice grip, simply crushing. The description shows the absurd level of these athletes. Comparisons between Makachev and Nurmagomedov have resurfaced with full force before the former's upcoming return to action at UFC 322, and the debate is heated like never before. Speaking on Israel Adesanya's Young Man Ramble podcast, Della Maddalena listed 3 ways Makachev is superior to Nurmagomedov, and his words will cause controversy. He's definitely gotten better. The striking for sure, Della Maddalena said about Makachev, not afraid to make the bold comparison. More weapons than Khabib cleaner. He's not as rushing as Khabib, you know? He's definitely improved, and you've got to think when he's stepping up to welterweight, he'll be in almost better shape, I would think. the Australian added with confidence. After that memorable war in Newark, Poirier was in a unique position to speak on how Makachev stacks up with his mentor, having faced both men at the peak of their careers and felt firsthand what each of them brings to the octagon. Poirier's experience offers a rare window to understand the nuances that separate and unite these two legendary warriors from Dagestan.